Hey everybody, it's Connor. So here I am giving you another little intro to these episodes. Again, welcome to what might be the new format of the show. Anyways, today I'm going to give you a review of Sound of Metal. It's actually a double review. I saw the movie after it having sat on my list for so long. Dustin saw the movie like 4 years ago, and really liked it. And I said, oh yeah, I'll check it out. And I never did because any number of things happened. 2 kids happened, a pandemic happened, subscriptions to other services kept happening. Finally, I reached that beautiful oasis in the desert where I could shed the burden of multiple subscriptions to watch multiple shows, and I just stuck with the core subscriptions I have, which for me is the Disney Bundle, Amazon Prime. I finally got around to watching Sound of Metal, and I wanted to recommend it. So what follows is that reaction, and for the outro today, I'm going to give you this bit of a conversation Dustin and I had just about conventions. Comic conventions, Dragon Con, Pensacon, Comic Con, obviously, and just fun conversation we had about that. So please enjoy our review of Sound of Metal. All right, so I actually finally reached this wonderful point where I can just watch stuff that I was curious about seeing that's on my watch list. And it was beautiful. And so I watched Sound of Metal.
You sound great.
Yeah, right.
What? You telling me you weren't feeling it? You were in it. We don't need to put them all out.
I know, but we just need to film.
Your hearing is deteriorating rapidly.
We'll come back. Till then, Lou, we just keep going, okay?
No.
Lou,
No.
let's play tomorrow. Let's see what it's like, okay? I'm gonna be like a click track. You can play to me.
You have to understand, your first responsibility is to preserve the hearing you have.
I can't hear you. Do you understand me? I can't. I'm deaf. I'm deaf.
I found a place.
I think it's important that you stay here with us right now, Ruben. We're looking for a solution to this. Not this.
I need you to wait for me, okay? You're it for me, Lou. You're my heart. You're it for me, okay? You gotta wait for me. Trying to save my life.
Ruben, the world does keep moving. It can be a damn cruel place. But those moments of stillness, when this crappy, mundane world suddenly becomes radiant and magnificent. All the fear is gone. That place will never abandon you.
So Sound of Metal was a movie that you reviewed on our show once upon a time, and you had said it was good. And so I watched the movie and went back and listened to your review. And so I'll drop it in here in a second, but I'm going to give a few facts first. This movie was co-written and directed by Darius Marder. It stars Riz Ahmed, Olivia Cooke, Paul Raci, Lauren Ridloff, Matthew Amalric, the guy from Quantum of Solace, I think.
Okay.
So Sound of Metal, I watched this on Prime Video because that's where it lives. And it's about a drummer who loses his hearing, begins to lose his hearing, rapidly loses his hearing. And that's, and then there's other stuff that happens around that, but that's the premise. So my quick thoughts on Sound of Metal, I thought it was a great movie. Obviously a big part of that is that the sound design is just top tier, incredible. Has to be, obviously, like you've got, you're really immersing people in not only just like what being deaf can feel like, but like you're shifting in and out of just like really interesting sound design when it comes to like the concerts, and then the experience of losing the hearing and all the tests, and slipping in and out of it kind of to reorient the viewer in a different state of mind. I really thought that was just great. So that's obviously it's key to the movie working, is how good the sound design is. Performances are all terrific. Riz Ahmed is great. You mentioned in your review, which we have people here in a second, but Paul Raci is really good in the movie. I really love, as I've said on the show before, I really love nonverbal storytelling. And so obviously any movie that's going to deal with something like this, it's going to depend a whole lot on that, because, you can only do sign language and subtitles for so long. You got to do some stuff with just a look or a shot, so stuff you can only do in movies. And the film I kept thinking, like, what if this had been, as I think all the time now about adaptations, like what would this have been like if it were a book? Well, if it were a book, it'd probably be a book about blindness, because the viewer, the reader can't see the action anyways. It's the perfect medium. And, film is a great medium to explore deafness. So I just thought it was really great, fit the medium well. I even love the open loops in the narrative, because it's not like everything is resolved in this movie. I think that made it feel more mature, and I just really thought it was a great story. So I'm going to drop Dustin's review in here so you can hear that, because there's other stuff that he says that I don't. But there's also a little cliffhanger in Dustin's review that I want to address. So here's Dustin's original review.
This is a fantastic story, and I loved every second of it. I have this weird thing when it comes to like the five senses and stories of people who have them and lose them. I lost my vision, or I lost my hearing. Like that, those are super impactful stories to me. Right. So I'm immediately drawn in and like locked into this story.
Yeah.
And especially for somebody who is so reliant on his hearing for what he does for a living.
Yep.
It's just incredibly impactful, and it makes complete sense. It doesn't feel like just some like coincidence, right? Like being a gigging musician can lead to hearing loss.
Yeah.
Like that's an actual phenomenon that's happening. It's not a coincidence. It's a cause and effect. At least it can be. And so, what I loved about this film. So first of all, the performances, Riz Ahmed is fantastic in this, and just does a fantastic job of bringing to life a character that's struggling in just about every conceivable way. Olivia Cooke does a great job. I love Olivia Cooke from Bates Motel, like years ago, and she does a great job here. She is sort of the heart of it, in that even though she's not necessarily there when he's at this camp, at this retreat, her presence is felt. And so even though she kind of disappears after the first act for a little while, she stays in your memory, which is great. Paul Raci, I'm not familiar with him, but I think he's the runaway in this. Like, he is so good at this role, and without spoiling anything or talking about what he has to deliver, he is fan-flippantastic. And so big shout out to him. It's just a really impactful, moving film. The way that I described this is, for me, in terms of star rating, 4 stars. And the way that I describe this is, it is a fantastic film that's brought down by its third act. And in fact, I remember reading recently a tweet from James Gunn where he said something along the lines of like, good films, or maybe he said great films, fall apart in the third act. Bad films fall apart in the first and second acts. And so it opened this dialogue where it's like, well, so what does that mean? Are you saying that all great films have bad third acts, or what are you saying? And no, he's just saying like a film can still be great, but fall apart in the third act. That's what happens here for me.
Okay.
It's a great film and was well on its way. Like, if I had stopped this halfway through and someone said, what's your star rating? I would have said 5 stars. Right?
Yeah.
But then that third act comes along. Without going into spoilers, I can't really talk about what exactly it is with that third act. I can't break it down. But what I will say is, I think the film is still worth seeing. There is a fantastic film here that maybe you won't be quite as sensitive as I am to the third act, and maybe you'll love it. Maybe this is a 5-star film for you. And that's great. There are some things that I couldn't quite get past. And so for that reason, it knocks it down to a 4 for me. But darn if this isn't very close to being a perfect film if it wasn't for that third act.
Wow.
So if you have any interest in the film or in the subject matter, which again, that's what drew me to it. I knew hearing loss. That's all that I needed to know I want to see this. And so much of the film is, told through ASL and kind of like just non-dialogued looks past camera,
just
like
visual storytelling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's such a fantastic thing. And we talked recently when we saw Concrete Cowboy, it sort of shows you a part of the world that you didn't really know much about.
Yeah.
This really does that for me. I mean, I definitely know more about the hearing loss, that the deaf community, than I did about the Fletcher Street Writers, but it's just so cool to see it on screen in such an honest and authentic way. So I just loved it, and I would recommend it. I think that third act drags it down, but I would recommend it.
It's always good to see movies, especially like you're saying, with like that have everything to do with like just what sounds to me like the human spirit, like how even when things happen to you, there's you normalize or inspire people to be like, that doesn't have to be the end of what you're doing. Like, there's plenty of people who live with not all 5 of their senses and have fulfilling lives, find new life within all this. And, so it's good when movies are made about that in general, but it's also better when they're good films. Like I remember I liked The Way so much because it was just a simple movie about kindness. When a movie can do that, and then also like just have great performances, that's worth checking out. Great
performances, great cinematography, direction. It's a great script.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it really makes you think, like, if this were me, right? Like if I woke up tomorrow with a quarter hearing in both ears, what what do I do?
Yeah.
How do I deal with that?
Yeah.
I think you can see a lot of yourself in this character in Ruben. The struggle to have hope that like it's going to get better.
Yeah.
Right. Like I have to do something versus the mentality of, okay, well, let me accept this impairment and adjust to that.
Yeah.
That's a tough situation to be in. And it's a situation that a lot of people do find themselves in. And that's what it makes me think of is how would I fare in this situation?
Right.
So yeah, I latched on and, I think you will too.
Yeah. I'm going to check it out. It's on my
Yeah.
list for sure. What I want to ask you about is one of the things you said in your review was that the idea that the movie kind of falls apart in the third act.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you haven't watched this recently, but I'm sure you probably remember what you were talking about. But you said you didn't want to go into it too much because it would require spoilers.
Yeah.
So I want to go into spoilers on the movie because I want to talk about the ending a little more.
Okay.
But you had mentioned this post from James Gunn where he had said like bad movies fall apart in act 1 and 2, and there are plenty of good movies that fall apart in the third act. It doesn't mean they're not good movies. It just means third act isn't as strong.
Yeah.
At the end of this movie, one of the things I love about the movie is that like, he does not save this relationship. It is strongly suggested. Well, yeah, I mean, they don't get together. They don't get back together at the end of the film, which is what he's been trying to do this whole time is get out, get the money for these cochlear implants, and then just have everything go back to normal. And he just realizes that it can never go back to normal. And upon some reading, I was able to sort of pick up on aspects of their relationship that I didn't quite consciously patterns I didn't consciously see, but totally make sense in retrospect. Like that their relationship was never a toxic one or anything like that. It was a very beautiful relationship that happened to be a very just well-timed relationship because she's getting over her mom. They mentioned like, how long have you been sober? And he's like 4 years. And they're like, how long have you been with her? And he's like 4 years. And so like for each other, they were the right people at the right time to use as a coping mechanism, this vagabond lifestyle they lead where they just go play gigs and they live in this RV and it's super cool and they're sweet and they're in love and everything's great and it works for them. And because I imagined like, I thought that when the movie, especially, I don't know if this is especially based on your description, but like, I remember thinking like, oh, once his hearing goes, like she's going to like abandon him. And that's not what happened. She's very, very supportive and loving. And I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Just interesting that they didn't take the easy road with her character. But now that she's better where she's at, once he goes back to go get her in Paris and he realizes she's not scratching herself anymore. She seems happy. She has friends. She seems balanced. She's kind of repairing things with her father. She's just doing well. And that he needs to just sort of accept his new life and accept that, hey, the timing is off now. And that's it. Like she's better off where she's at. And I'm probably, I probably need to do my own thing too. And probably realizing in the subtext, like we helped each other get through what we were going through at this time. And now those obstacles are gone and the relationship no longer has like a foundation of healing anymore. Like that's past. So I love that aspect of it, but I want to hear your thoughts about what you thought may have fallen apart in the third act of the movie.
I'm sorry to disappoint you. I don't remember the third act. Of this movie. So I don't know that I can speak to where my head was at in that.
What it made me think of hearing that was like, there was like, he goes to the rehab center. He starts to learn sign language and he's with the other people. And, there's there's not even really there's just like he loves it. He's enjoying it. He's learning. He's forming a connection with these people. And then he kind of goes off in this area where he's like, okay, I'm going to start selling off parts of my van. I'm going to start to sell the equipment. I'm going to sell the van, and I'm going to like make this plan to like buy it back. And then he tells the guy about it. Yeah, I got the implants, and the guy's like, well, you can't stay here because everyone who lives here accepts that their deafness is not a disability. I can't have you around people and influencing them against that philosophy. Yeah. And so I could see how it was sort of going in this direction of like, this almost feels like a dropped story beat to like have him go through all of this stuff and then have that kind of not pay off as much. But I can't decide if it was just because to me, like, that's what I meant by an open loop. Like, it feels like, oh, okay, I sort of thought we'd see the van again, and all this stuff just sort of felt like it was building to something. But maybe maybe that's the point where you want him to get back with her, and then he just leaves her place, goes and sits in the park or whatever, and then he pulls the implants out off his head. Because I was reading some Reddit where the guy was like, I mean, it's pretty strongly suggest he's going to kill himself, right? And everyone was like, no. I think that's a stretch. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right. No, I definitely think I don't remember getting that.
It's like no. It's like the commenter was like this big upvoted comment was like, I mean, everyone's entitled to their interpretation, but I feel like that's a stretch. Like,
sure,
it's more likely the narrative supports that he just finally reached that stillness that Paul Raci's character was talking about, where you need to not need something that isn't happening. I mean, because he gets the implants and he can kind of hear, but he has trouble accepting that these are just like antenna that interpret sound for your brain. Like, it's not going to be like having working ears again. Your ears don't work. And, the quality of sound you're getting is tinny and it's staticky. It's probably a lot harder for a musician to accept than a non-musician, because you're sitting there going like, oh, geez, I should crank up the bass on this a little bit.
Yeah. Let me EQ this.
And you can't. Can't. It's not a mixer they put on your head. It's just a thing.
Yep.
And he is that. I mean, as someone who podcasts, it was driving me nuts. I was like, shit. Oh, I would feel like this is a waste of money almost. The idea being that like he got what he wanted. He got the implants, and it's not at all what he thought. And not only can he probably not go back to being a musician, even with the implants, he just, it's almost like there was a life waiting for him that he could resume with the center that they were saying like you could get a job here and stuff. And I guess that all that stuff maybe feels like it's building to something, but I can kind of see how it's just more in service of, yes, because he thinks this is all going to work. He thinks this plan of his is going to tie together, and he's going to make it land.
Sure.
And I don't know, because I kind of felt again, like sometimes I feel like it's a dropped thread, and sometimes I feel like it's just texture on the story. Like the one things Paul Raci says to him when he tells him like, yeah, I sold the van, but I'm gonna get the money together. My girlfriend's dad is rich or whatever. And he said to me, everything you're saying right now, you look and you sound like an addict. And so I sort of thought, are we gonna get like a relapse thing going on?
Yeah.
And so I don't feel, and maybe you don't at this point, but I don't feel like the third act drops anything, but I do feel like there's maybe red herrings in the narrative where you think it's going to go somewhere, and it doesn't end up going to.
I mean, you saying that, like, it is flooding back to me, but I agree with all your points. Like it does to me seem that the film's point was the idea of want versus need, and what he wanted was one thing, but what he needed was something completely different. And that's a sophisticated story. And want versus need is something I think that it is very good to strive toward in a film, as a writer, to say like the want is this, the need is that, very quickly, like, Woody's want is to get rid of Buzz, but what he needs is to, coexist with Buzz.
Yeah.
It's that idea of, what a character's goal isn't actually always what's best for them. And so, his goal of, let me get back with Olivia Cook's character, let me cure my disability. That's a want, but the need was acceptance of his current stage in life and acceptance that what is going on with his ears, with his situation, is not something that is necessarily broken about him.
Yeah.
It can still, like, you can still be you can still be all that you wanted to be, even if that part of you is now different. And so, I don't dislike that. So I am curious what I meant by that, but I couldn't tell you what it was. How long ago was it that I reviewed that film? Was it when Sound of Metal came out?
So we're
talking 5 years? Because I can't.
No, it was probably a little bit further than that. No, I mean, not further. I think so, because hold on, I have at least the file here. Sound of Metal. This was episode 303. So that was 2021.
Okay. So I remember thinking, like, like I said at the top of the show, hey, that's a very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember specifics other than, like,
sorry to ambush you.
Yeah, no. My brain is like pulling in all these things that I like about the film.
Sure.
But it has rejected all the things I didn't. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, then, yeah, I mean, I certainly, well, hell, at this point, I've spoiled the ending, but, like, I really think people should watch Sound of Metal. I would watch it again. It was a really great movie. So really well done. Like I said, the performances are so good. Great stuff. I loved it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, I need to go back and watch it. So.
I just finished Lord of the Rings. Like, I was trying to finish that up. So I finished Return of the King last night. Nice. And then I read some of the appendices today. And then I put it down and I was like, I'll research this if I need to.
Yep.
I just read the timeline basically, all the way up through when Aragorn dies. I thought that was cool,
Yeah. Yep.
So that was cool. It was cool to finish the book. So now that I've done that, I can get back to this. So I'm on.
Did you hear this rumor floating around that for Andy Serkis's Gollum movie, they have asks out to Ian McKellen, Viggo Mortensen, and Orlando Bloom?
I've heard.
Okay.
It's crazy because this could be one of those things that I just think sounds so dumb. And that, like, when then a trailer comes out and I go, oh,
it's amazing.
But it's one of those, like, as soon as anything comes out now, I'm going to go back to the appendices and try to find what they're like and read the appendices and go, do I like this? Is this, before I embrace it?
I'm like, how can you not do, like, digital de-aging on this? And is that going to be really jarring?
I think... who knows what because what's the story again? Isn't it?
It's the hunt for Gollum. So
this is before. Yeah, this is
pre-Fellowship.
That's right.
Yeah,
Legolas wasn't part of the hunt for Gollum.
Man,
it was just Aragorn and
he also wasn't a part of the Hobbit.
It was just Aragorn. It was just Aragorn and Gandalf were the ones who were.
Yeah.
No, this is ridiculous. I don't like this. Never mind.
I saw a post the other day that said Viggo Mortensen is now as old as Ian McKellen was when he filmed the first Lord of the Rings. I'm like,
61.
you have to digitally de-age these guys.
Right. Yeah. Especially Aragorn. Like, you can't have him just forget that it's a prequel. Like, he ages slowly. Like you.
Yeah. Same with Legolas.
Yeah. And Gandalf, really.
And Gandalf. Yeah. They all age slowly. Yeah.
No, I don't like it. Throw it away.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, yes, it's one of those things that like my lizard brain, when it comes out, is going to be like, oh, Lord of the Rings. Yes. All these people are back. Yay. But I'm also like, you know, my brain right now is going,
yeah, your executive function, your grown up brain.
Do an animated film.
Yeah.
Make it an animated movie.
Yep.
At this point, it's going to be anyway.
Like, if you want to have those guys come back and voice everyone, that's fine. Like that, totally sure. Fine. Like, come back and voice it. You know, we must find Gollum. Like, okay, great, good. You know, knock all that out, and then just. But.
Yep. Yeah, it's weird. We'll see. I don't know, man.
Don't like that.
I mean, I keep going back and forth. It's like, well, at least it's Andy Serkis. I'm like, but.
Andy Serkis. The Ring corrupts everyone, Dustin.
I just say the Ring and the almighty dollar.
The almighty dollar. The $1. If the books taught us nothing else, it's that these wounds can be lasting, and
yes.
Continued exposure to money prolongs
but they were all
life.
Of them deceived.
Yeah. For another
in secret.
Another $1 was spent in the land of Los Angeles, in the fires of New Line Cinema. The Dark Lord David Zaslav forged in secret a script. And into that script he poured his avarice, his malice, and Andy Serkis.
Yes.
One by one, the actors fell to the power of the dollar. But there were some who resisted. And then there's like Sean Astin, like, nope, no thanks.
No, I'm good.
And then they'd pretend, yeah, we never asked him, even though they probably did. They probably asked all of them, hey, will you all four of you come back and just do a cameo where you're out like drinking? No.
No, why would I do that?
All right, if you refuse, we're just going to say we never asked. Why don't we just
go out drinking?
Well, that they did.
We're already there.
They all went out to. They were all like Dragon Con recently.
Yeah, they were.
And then some other convention. I saw a picture of them all eating at a restaurant.
Yeah. I debated on going to meet them at Dragon Con this year, but I've sworn off conventions.
Have you?
I have.
Why?
I'm sticking to it for now.
For now.
It's just so sketchy. It's just so weird. Like it's awkward to me. Like I understand. So this is a business transaction here that we're enacting, right? If you do what we did, which we did it the wrong way when we all went to Dragon Con, which was, how do we do it without spending a dime? That's the wrong way to do it.
That's right.
That's the wrong way to do it. Because then you end up standing in Adam West's line and going, hello, Adam, we enjoy your work. And he's like, oh, get out of here.
Thanks. Yeah. Are you here to spend money?
And we're like, nope. We're poor college kids.
We're here to exploit the idea that we just met you. Okay, well, do you know how many women I used to sleep with between takes?
That's pretty much what happened. That and
that was my response to the person who sent me that story was, this explains why he was in such a shitty mood when we met him, because he was probably thinking, do you know how many women I used to sleep with between takes? Look at me now.
Now I'm sitting behind a booth.
He's sitting behind a booth being paid to talk about what he was doing while he wasn't sleeping with a bunch of women.
Or in our case, not paid.
That's right. had to fist bump John.
There's no shame in it. Like totally. If I were in the position where hundreds, thousands of people are going to come pay me to take a picture with me, sure, I'll make money that way. That's an easy day's work.
Yep.
No shame in that at all. But for me, it's a little awkward because it feels so transactional. Like I'm buying your attention. And I'm like, but I don't want your attention that way, if that makes sense. Like, because now I'm on the spot to try to, like, it feels like I have to try to make this worth your while.
Yeah.
But I'm doing that by giving you the money.
Yeah.
So why do I then feel, and it's probably because of that experience with like Adam West, where I feel like I have to somehow validate my approaching you.
Yeah. I think Adam West hurt us, and it's really his fault.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
This is really all Adam West's fault.
Post-traumatic West disorder. That's what we have. Yeah, man, I don't know, but I thought about it. It was like $100 to get a photo with Elijah Wood, and it was like $250 for him plus Dom and Billy. And I was like, oh, I'm debating it. I would if Sean were here.
Yeah.
But I was like, but otherwise I was like, maybe I'll just go meet Elijah. And then I was like, but then if I'm there, I might as well also do Fillion and Tudyk.
Yeah.
But then I was like, but that's another $200.
Right.
It's like, no, I can't go down this rabbit hole. So I just,
I know what you mean. Exactly. How do you pick and choose? And then how do you, you're right though. Do you even remember what it cost us to get into Dragon Con?
Back then it was probably like $30. I mean, I don't think it was that much. Yeah. Yeah. And then we just wandered around. And like, we didn't buy anything.
Nope.
We went to the little shop area where all the vendors are set up. And I still don't think we bought anything.
I remember George Takei was about to sign something for one of us. And then the people reminded him that costs money. And he was like, oh, like he
right.
It was just his instinct to just, I'll sign a thing. And the staff was like, don't you fucking touch that photo, Mr. Takei.
Yeah, you're right. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, excuse me.
Well, there's that. And do you remember? So we went, the year that we went, they had the full cast of Firefly there.
Did they?
Yeah. And not a one of us had ever seen Firefly.
I remember
the entire cast was there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a full cast reunion. And not a single one of us cared.
Oh, okay. I remember this now. I remember that the year we went, Hayden Panettiere was supposed to be there, but she wasn't there that day. And I was like, oh. Yeah. No, but like, I mean, what was it? George Takei, Adam West, Lou Ferrigno.
Sean Astin.
Sean Astin was there?
Yeah, we met Sean Astin.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, we walked up to his booth.
That's right. You guys look like a bunch of strapping young guys. I remember that.
Strapping young guys. I wish I had advice to give to you.
Yeah. I remember that now. I'm so ashamed that I just forgot. Oh, I feel bad.
Well, I went up to Michael Rosenbaum. None of y'all did, but I got in line for Michael Rosenbaum.
Okay.
And I talked to him, and I didn't buy anything, so it's so awkward. And I was like, okay, bye.
Yeah, you're just up there to meet them, and they're like, cool, you're not going to spend any money.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for wasting my time.
when you're, I imagine too what it is, because I don't think Michael Rosenbaum cares if you buy something because he's already been paid. Yeah. But what it is when you're signing something, you can go, all right, well, here's your picture. You can close the conversation. But when you're not buying anything, it's just like, oh shit, when are you going to move? When are you going to let the next person go?
Yep. The next person is giving me money.
Yeah, I can see it. They're holding their money.
Yeah, right.
They're holding a poster. I can see that they're going to, but like
spend money. Yeah.
What I would do is I would have one of those, like, I'd have an hourglass and I would just turn it and be like, all right, you got 2 minutes. What do you want to talk to me about? And it's like,
Yeah, right.
In the episode where you did, and I'm just like, yeah, fucking the episode, right?
Sure. I don't know what you're talking about, but cool. I'll pretend.
I'm
for
just
2
going to
minutes.
stare at this hourglass, watch the sands slip away like my time. It's time I'll never get back in this hourglass while you talk to me about the episode.
Correct. And I don't remember what it was, but I remember the guy that was in line behind me was super giddy to meet him. And like when I left, it was like, all right, cool, man. Like I shook his hand or whatever and like walked away. And the guy behind me, I immediately had like secondhand embarrassment for that guy because he was like, Mr. Rosenbaum, it's an honor to meet you, my friend. And I feel like I know you. And I'm like,
boy. You're like, you ran away. Oh, no, I can't hear any more of this.
I'm one of them. Get me out of here.
I gotta get out of here before the embarrassment gets all over me.
And I remember Ray Park was there.
Oh yeah.
And we all like walked by and one of us was like, who's Ray Park? And somebody was like, hey, played Darth Maul. And we were all like, oh, cool.
Do we not know who Ray Park was at the time?
I think somebody didn't. I don't know who it was. And I think John ended up explaining to whoever it was, one of us.
It might have been
Could have been me, could have been you, could have been Cal. I don't know who it was.
Yeah, Lou Ferrigno looked miserable.
Yeah.
I remember his booth was empty. That's why I remember
It was empty.
There was no line.
And there's no line. We went up there. You chatted with him.
I did.
I think that was the icebreaker for all of us because we walked in and we were all overwhelmed by all the tables, I think. And like, because he had no line, the icebreaker was, well, let's see if Hooper will go talk to Lou Ferrigno. And of course you did. And then we were all like, cool. All right. I'm going to see Michael Rosenbaum. You're going over there.
Yeah. I think all I had to talk to him about was like, cause the Edward Norton Hulk had just come out. And so I had heard that he was somehow involved. I remember he was like the security guard, but I think I was asking him like, did you do motion capture for that? Like I read somewhere that you were, and he was pretty much just like, no, like, no, I didn't do any of that. Like that's not true or something. And I was like,
yeah,
cool.
Okay, bye.
Well, then, because I thought like, well, I have nothing else. I've never watched the TV show, so I can't. You know, what else are you supposed to say? Like he wasn't yes-anding me, and so all I could switch to at that point was like, well, how are you enjoying the convention? Like, are you having fun? Like, I think I said something like, are you having fun? And he was like, yeah, or something.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
Whatever you're supposed to say.
Right. Sure. Why not?
Yeah. It was kind of awkward.
We should have asked him about these shoes. I'm still recording, so if anybody's listening to this part, I just sent him a photo of Lou Ferrigno's green Hulk shoes that he wore.
I was gonna say flesh colored shoes, but they're Hulk flesh colored.
They're Hulk flesh colored shoes, so that they didn't have to paint his feet,
make him run barefoot in the street,
and make him run barefoot. it's for Lou Ferrigno's comfort.
I guarantee you, they did that for like a few episodes, and he was probably like, "Listen, I'm not running barefoot anymore."
Yeah, and then they were like, "Okay, fine, we're shooting this in 240p. No one will ever know." Until that footage was remastered and released on 4K.
Hey, he's wearing shoes.
Well, where did the Hulk get these shoes? Little strap-on shoes.
Stretchy shoes,
little
too.
Velcro.
That's how you know he's the Hulk. Like, you walk around in public and you're like, that guy's wearing the Hulk shoes.
The shoelaces are too little for Hulk's huge hands. Yeah. So he has to use strap-on shoes.
They're just like a strappy pair of Hulk Crocs.
Yeah, that's it. Hulk Crocs.
Hawks. I feel like it's definitely gotten bigger.
Yeah.
Because like those are some big names that we just named, but like,
yeah,
you know, now with more time that's passed between some of these properties, that, you know, I feel like the fan base grows. And
yeah, let me see if I can find like a list of
who was just there. Because didn't they they just wrapped it up.
So Billy Boyd, Orson Scott Card.
What? I didn't know that guy was alive.
Kevin Clash, disgraced puppeteer of Elmo.
Really? What? Orson Scott Card is also in trouble for like for something, for like something, maybe he's like a homophobe or something. I don't know, something like that. It's just like, I'm surprised him and Kevin Clash are both at the.
Wow. Okay.
Yeesh.
John Cleese.
Okay.
Townsend Coleman. Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh, that's cool.
Giancarlo Esposito. Nathan Fillion. Seth Green.
Okay. Bet you Matthew Lillard was there too.
Walter Koenig.
Oh.
Kristen Kruk.
I didn't know Walter Koenig was still alive.
No Lillard.
What?
No Lillard. Dominic Monaghan. Anson Mount. Jared Padalecki. Rob Paulson. James and Oliver Phelps.
Of course. But that's way more people than
Kobe Smulders.
Oh, yeah.
Brent Spiner.
These are all people who this is a quantity of people that I recognize and would enjoy meeting that didn't exist in 2008.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, in 2008 there was like 5-6 people that I was interested in meeting. Yeah. You know, like I only wanted to meet Adam West because of Family Guy. I didn't really care about Batman or anything like that, you know.
Catherine Tate, Danny Trejo, Alan Tudyk.
Oh. Catherine Tate's there. That's cool.
Patrick Warburton, Ming-Na Wen, Jodie Whittaker.
Oh, I love Jodie Whittaker.
Elijah Wood, Bonnie Wright. Yeah, that's about it.
That's a stout list, man. Yeah, I don't think Sean Astin was at Dragon Con this year, but he was at whatever the next one they went to was. But of course, I would have remembered he was at the fucking one I met him at. So what do I know? I'm so ashamed.
Maybe he was like, I'm not going back to Atlanta after those guys didn't buy anything.
I even told him I wished I had advice for them. That was nice of me to say.
I told them they were strapping. They still didn't buy anything. I was begging for it. Mr. Frodo.
I wish I had some advice or something to give you. Yeah, me too, pal. I wish you had something to say to me.
Just recite the Two Towers monologue. Go. That's the best advice you can give.
Say something to make me cry. Make me cry.
Say the thing about the folk in those stories.
Say, well, I'm back.
Call me Stinker and Slinker.
Tell me I'm hopeless.
Say potatoes. Say it. Just say it.
Come on, fatty, say it. Talk about them taters.
I saw a thing. I'll never be able to find it now, but I saw this thing earlier. Maybe I can. Hold on. I love these things where it's like, describe a movie poorly.
Yeah.
I found this one. It was, it's not that, but it's sort of that. It says, honestly, Frodo's journey is so wild. Like, imagine your uncle goes missing after his birthday party and his old stoner friend from out of town tells you the souvenir he brought back from a Vegas trip 80 years ago is actually Satan's mood ring. And now zombie assassins are coming to burn down your town unless you and your lawn guy meet up with a medieval dude in a dark gastropub.
There was, it was something like Frodo essentially defeats Satan and he still can't get, I don't know, decent healthcare or something like that. I can't remember what it was. It was
yeah, sure.
Yeah, something like that. Like what does Frodo have to do to earn respect? Like
yes.
Yeah. Something like that. That's why he goes to the Undying Lands. Like he basically keeps getting sick after and it's not even Weathertop. It's Shelob's poison too.
Yeah, right.
It's like the man gets poisoned like 3 times. He gets It's a poison sword, he gets a poison stinger, and then he has to drink this poison goop when he's captured or something. He's just this poor motherfucker's been poisoned in every book. He just keeps getting poisoned.
Yep.
All right. Well, goodbye.
You can't end on the awkward silence.
I will. I think I will.